Let's go. Getting ready, about to go live. You know we always have a good time, so count it down, make some noise. Chat is open. If you're here, let us know. Start the cheering. Let's have fun and start connecting. You worry soon you'll be forgetting, 'cause you are here with us now. We are all friends. Sit back and relax, we can begin. Ready or not, here we go. We're all here, so let's start the show. This is the place to be, right here with you and me. Let's meet somebody new. Come and be inspired. The only thing required is to learn and have fun too. Experiment with us, and you we can trust to live that streaming life. There's no need to be scared as long as you're prepared. Start the stream and feel alive. Online streaming is a journey. With every step we're always learning. So come with us, let's support each other. We can do everything all together. Ready or not, here we go. We're all here, so let's start the show. This is the place to be, right here with you and me. Let's meet somebody new. Come and be inspired. The only thing required is to learn and have fun too. Experiment with us, and you we can trust to live that streaming life. There's no need to be scared as long as you're prepared. Start the stream and feel alive. Your adventure is starting. Nothing compares to streaming. This is the place to be, right here with you and me. Let's meet somebody new. Come and be inspired. The only thing required is to learn and have fun too. Experiment with us, and you we can trust to live that streaming life. There's no need to be scared as long as you're prepared. Start the stream and feel alive.
Figure that out. Oh, and here we are, just chatting in the background with my guest and talking about camera zooms. But now it's time to say hello here to everyone. And of course, Lola, 4 a.m. in the morning, and she's here. Welcome. Then we have Keith here. Hello. And Claire, Sarah, I'm not even sure if I think you once already got the welcome confetti, but I'm not 100% sure. So there they are. And so nice that you are here. And boom, Tim is in the room. And then we have Stan. Hello, welcome back. This time no one will time you out, I'm pretty sure. Then we have Ellie. And David is here. And Tim, still not your first time. Keep trying. Okay. And Claire likes the return confettis. Okay. And before we jump into it, I have to tell you something exciting. Well, it's exciting for me because I booked my first flight ever to the US. I will be in the eCamp Creator Camp in October. And so if everyone else is going there, let me know. So, woohoo! Yeah, exactly. So, but now I think it's time to introduce my guest. It's Katy Simpson. I just made more than one of her. Yeah. I have one guest, and that's Katy Simpson. She is a pastor's wife and a mom to a bunch of furry animals. She lives in a quintessential English village near London. She loves encouraging entrepreneurial gals to feel, sound, and look great by using live video and podcast to deeply connect with their audience and improve theirs and others' lives with their unique voice and message. She runs her own live video podcast, the Thrive With live show, and has been featured on numerous shows and summits such as Leap Into Podcasting. And today she's featured here with me. Hi, Katy.
Hello. Hi, Marcus. Thank you so much for having me on.
Confetti for you as well, of course.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. And it's a wonderful show. And thank you, everyone, for watching live here on the replay. We really appreciate that. So, Marcus, you're a wonderful person. And so it's such a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. And I already love that you're here, and I always love your hats. They're just the best thing ever.
Yeah, I love a good hat. I managed to get a hat yesterday, a new one. It's the same color as this from the podcast show. I didn't quite nab it or steal it. I just suggested really strongly, I'd really like that nice hat, please.
Okay. You just hinted that you would like to take the hat with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
and it
probably
worked.
about my 30th hat, I expect. I've got loads, at least 30. Yeah.
Okay, and Tim says you had a red one on yesterday.
Yeah.
So you were at to the podcast. How is it called?
Yeah, the podcast show in London.
In London, great.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, Tim is in the room here, Tim Heal. So we had a really nice chat and coffee, and yeah, it's great. Great to meet in person, isn't it? When you
absolutely
meet each other online, you get to know each other, and then yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
special.
Yeah, and London would have been far nearer for me than now I'm planning to go to Boston for that. Yeah, and
wonderful, so exciting.
Yeah, but London would have been very much nearer, and I don't really like long flights, but sometimes you have to.
Same here. Worth it though, really worth it. You'll have a great time.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go for the opportunities.
Yeah, you really, really do. Yeah, it will be a really nice time.
Yeah, so Katy, tell us a bit about you, maybe something about you before you even started making content.
Yeah, isn't it Strange. Yeah, so Marcus is being really kind to me, and before I get into it, if you're watching, he is zooming in on me because um I've got little technical issues going on, and so some of you might have seen the big pile of papers in the corner. And I teach thriving with live and looking great on live video, and here is me with a whole load of bunch of papers. So thank you, Marcus. Yeah, so it's so interesting to hear. I love hearing people's career journeys and sort of life and career journeys. And I have sort of from the beginning almost had a very interesting career journey. Since I was a child, I've always wanted to play music, be a musician, be a music teacher. And I actually fulfilled my dream and then became a professional singer. While I was studying singing, I worked for the police for a while, which was very, very interesting. And I'm a very nosy person, so I found that fascinating, being able to see what's going on around and about. So they called me the singing policeman. There, I wasn't a police officer; I was a civilian working for them. And so I've done various things. I've taught violin, I've taught piano a little bit, I've taught class music and been head of music in a secondary school. I've trained choirs, which I absolutely love doing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, things work out for our best. My health started to, when I was head of music in a secondary school and also having to teach religious studies and also having to teach a bit of maths and also having to teach what they call PSHCE and have a form as well, for form time and all this sort of thing. Yeah, my health, which wasn't brilliant anyway, was just starting to spiral down a little bit. So I had to stop that work, and then I had to gradually give up the other things. And I didn't know anything about live streaming till a few years ago, really. So after that, I love helping ladies to feel better. And my mum passed away very suddenly during this sort of time. And I went to get a few massages, something like that, to just help me de-tense, and I felt that was really, really helpful. So I studied beauty therapy and I was a beauty therapist for a while. And then I started, I don't know what it was really, but I was quite intrigued about online business. I think it was because of my health. I started getting interested in it. And I found Russell Bronson with loads of ads on Facebook and started getting interested in ClickFunnels and did the One Funnel Away challenge, where you build out a course in 30 days online. And that was fantastic. I learned so much, and that launched me into realizing, in a group that we made from the One Funnel Away challenge, where they were getting together to say, oh, Russell Bronson's telling us we need to go live and engage with our new audiences, and we all hate going live, so let's get together in a group. And I just sort of tagged along with this group, and after a few weeks we were talking on Zoom, and I said to them, actually, I really like going live. So it was a bit, and then I thought, oh, maybe this is a thing. Maybe I can help other people because, I can understand. I've been there, done that, felt really terrified about the whole prospect and everything. So I understood where they were coming from. And so, yeah, that's where it started. Very interesting, odd sort of journey, really. But, I bring all those, all those things, all our life experiences, all our knowledge and stuff. It does, even where we live, all how we brought up and all that stuff comes to hopefully enhance what we're doing, doesn't it? So I bring a little bit of all of those things into, or try to, into the way I teach, and I sort of focus on live to podcasts now. So vodcasting, video casting, however you like to say it. So I love teaching that workflow. So yeah, that's my journey.
Okay, so you already had a professional background in teaching, and then you combined that with your newfound passion of teaching about life. Great. What did you do for the police?
Yeah, so I had quite a big interview and a whole load of tests that I had to do for this new. They were creating a new job for about 25 people in this whole big area in Britain, and they'd equipped this large room with lots of computers and phones and everything, and we all had to sit on the phone and take calls from all over this large area. It was Devon and Cornwall, if anyone knows that gorgeous area in England, and taking calls from all over the area, and we had to work out whether it was an immediate sort of threat, or we could file it as a crime, and all those sort of things. So it was very, very interesting, and I could see virtually on the computer what was going on in this whole area. And so it really I really enjoyed that sort of nosy part of it, but also helping the public and calming their fears a little bit, helping, encouraging them that somebody was going to come and help them and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I did enjoy that.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, and then you could say stumbled into content creation. When was that?
Yeah, so it was just it was before it was like a year before lockdown, and I just felt it was really providential. I'm a Christian. I believe in God's providence. I felt the lockdown happened in Britain probably about similar time to a lot of other countries, and everything was shutting down, and I wasn't able to go into the spa where I was working as a sort of beauty therapist, massage therapist, but I'd done for like a year of building up my online business, and it was great because it gave me more time to focus on it and really, really go for it. And that's what I did. That's what happened. And one of the most wonderful things I find about live video is, like Marcus and I were just chatting earlier, is meeting lifelong dear friends just through live video. And I don't mean through sort of Zoom calls and things, because I don't do that many Zoom meetings. I find them a bit exhausting. But live video, even though people can say, oh, it's pretty much one-way conversation, it isn't. It's it really, I have met some of my dearest friends by going live and them going live, and maybe we've chatted on a Zoom call or like an eCam interview like we're doing once or twice, and that's it. But we've got to know each other on that deep level, and live video can really, really do that extremely quickly. And the other thing that it can do, it is in the opposite way. It can repel people really quickly, which is actually really handy, because they're probably people that you wouldn't really want to work with or necessarily get on very well with, and it will repel people because they just they're not really attracted to the way you are, your character. So that's another little point, actually, is that's a good thing, but that will only work if you are you on live video. If you're trying to be like somebody else, or like who you sort of carbon cut out of what you think you should be like on video, and then
Sounds exhausting, by the way.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
can you imagine? Ugh,
Yeah.
how depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real power in being yourself, and also stepping over some fears of showing yourself, and being
Mm.
vulnerable. And when you get that done, then we're really able to connect.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. For anyone watching, Marcus and I met during a live video challenge last month, the Leader Challenge, live every day in April challenge. And Marcus was actually really instrumental in helping me with a big block that I had in my mind. And it was an enormous block for me as a person, really, as well. That sounds a bit dramatic, but we get these blocks in our mind that stop us from, I don't know, a little bit of freedom as a person, a little bit of happiness as a person, as well as a block in your business as well. And what it was is that I have chronic ill health. You know, a lot of us have problems like that. The way it manifests in me is with the fatigue, you know, absolute exhaustion a lot of the time. So I can hardly talk a lot of the time, and I'm just having to lie down in bed. And I was determined to try and get through this being live every day in April. And it's just going live on your phone. You don't have to produce some in wonderful show like Marcus is doing every day. It's just on your phone. And I thought, shall I be brave enough? And, you know, if I am in bed not feeling very well, you know, as long as I can sit up and look fairly reasonable, but, you know, without makeup on, really not sounding my best, slurring my words, maybe being confused, can I still show up, and will people think the worst of me? And the way I say Marcus is really instrumental is that I did that, and he was very, very supportive, and he kept saying, look, you look fine. You sound fine.
Yeah,
What
that
are you
sounds
going on
like
about?
something I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're just so uber harsh on ourselves. And, you know, with women as well, we think, oh, we have to have our makeup on, we have to have all our jewelry, or, you know, whatever it is. And we're very harsh. Oh, my hair's looking a bit, I need to wash, you know, whatever. We can put a whole load of like pressures on ourselves, and that nobody's going to take us seriously unless we've ticked all these boxes. And, you know, and Marcus was very helpful in showing me that actually a lot of that isn't even in their heads. It's not an issue. People,
Yeah.
you know, they want you and they need you. And so we must, I think about our audience and how we can help them more than we worry about. Is this right? Am I doing that? Do I look right? Do I sound odd? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
If we put our audience first, I
Yeah.
think that's,
And it works. I believe it works in the opposite way. If we are looking and sounding too perfect, and portraying the perfect image, then we're not relatable, and this goes back to the authenticity.
authenticity. Yes. Yes.
We talked before.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And Stan is here. Hi, Stan. Lovely to see you. There's power in authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Power in authenticity. That's a good one. I love that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, going live is, if you're doing it for the first time or in the start, it is really intimidating until we get some security in it, and then We just have to push through that initial anxiety, and then it's just the best thing. Like you said,
I
you
think so.
you quickly saw that you loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have a regular show you are doing as well, the Thrive with Life show.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, .alitu.com is Alitu is my hosting platform for my the podcast version of it, the audio version of it. So
Yeah.
that's why it says alitu.com. They're a great company, and actually that's where I got the hat from yesterday.
Oh, great.
But yeah, the show is the Thrive with Live show. Sometimes that's difficult to say. You have to put your teeth in it.
Thrive with Life. Okay.
And yeah, it's mainly for female entrepreneurs to help them with their mindset and with the technology and all the things to do with going live, and how they can do it easily without overwhelm, and how it can help their business. So all those things about live, and I love teaching, as I mentioned before, about the repurposing it into what Stephanie Liu says. She says digital confetti, but focusing on podcasts, because podcast is a very, very special, unique platform that live is different from. And I love them both, and you can do them both pretty much at the same time. So that's what I love teaching on there as well.
Yeah, I need to know about that, because I set up a podcast for myself. I already had a Squarespace site. I didn't really use it. And then I thought, okay, we can use it for that. And then I put up exactly one episode. And since then, I'm planning to do more. It's 8 weeks maybe. But you said we can do it practically at the same time. But my initial plan is I take conversations like this where we talk for about an hour, and then I think, okay, for that's okay. It's a little less formal because it's live and we're chatting, and then for a podcast it could be a bit more polished, and from an hour I could then make about 20 minutes podcast. But I really need to do that. But is that a good plan, or would it be better to say, okay, it doesn't get done, so just put it out as is?
Yeah, it's you can do it. I mean, an hour-long live is harder because there's a lot of content in there. So yeah, action is better than no action, isn't it? And live, the thing that's a bit of a pain over live videos is the algorithm problem, that, if people know you and they're subscribed, like Marcus and I were talking about earlier, do they get notifications? They should get notifications and everything, if they're subscribed to you. Certainly if they've clicked that they're watching or interested in that show that you've scheduled and coming up, that's really, really helpful, and you will get people being notified and coming onto the show. But otherwise, if they're being notified for a whole load of shows, they might miss the notifications, and it's difficult to get loads of people to watch your lives live or on the replay. And you don't have that same problem at all on podcasts. And podcasts are, if somebody has subscribed to your show, they will get that straight to their phone. Your new episode will be downloaded without them having to click anything or remember anything. And maybe they will click onto that show straight away, or maybe when they've got a free moment, they'll be scrolling their podcast app and they'll see, oh yeah, you've got a new show. And it's so easy for them. And you create that, you are speaking in their head for an hour or 20 minutes or however long it is, in their head, and they get that very close, intimate connection with you, and you really can develop very, very strong fans, relationships with your listeners. They feel like they really know you. You're sort of in their head, and they will easily be able to listen to you each week, or however often you're putting your episodes out. So what I recommend for a workflow that works really well, and this could work really, really well for Marcus, is that in the program that we both use called Ecamm Live, at the end of the live, before you click off Ecamm, you shut down your computer or whatever, at the end it gives you an option that you can download that video straight into a program called Descript, which is spelt like describe, but instead of in English it'd be BE on describe, it's P for Papa, T for Tango. And that program, it does look quite scary, and some of you on the live, I know you find it a bit intimidating, but basically all you do is you just wait for your video to show up in Descript, and it will take a while if it's a whole hour, but once it's there, you will see it like a word processed document, the words. And I think that is by far the easiest if you want to pull out a really juicy segment from your show, and use that as a podcast. And to do it the quickest way is to highlight the best bit of the show. And it could be, if you wanted to, and you can make loads of podcasts like this, you could just like your guest talks about point 1, and so you highlight that paragraph that's talking about point 1, and maybe that's 20 minutes long, maybe a little bit shorter. And you can, if you want, then take out lots of filler words if there's like that, or somebody bashes the microphone like I was doing earlier, or coughing, or the dog barking, or whatever. You could just take out those things. Or if there's nothing like that, don't worry about it. And then you can upload that into a program like Alitu if you want, or just create a new project or a new segment. I can't remember what the name for it is in Descript. And you get you get your intro that you've recorded earlier saying, welcome to the blank 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 podcast, it's great to have you here, I'm so and so, we talk about this, and please subscribe here if you want, something like that. And you can add some music that you've bought so it's not copyrighted underneath it, so it sounds jazzy, get some into the mood. And you just pull that intro that you've made once above your clip, and then you've made an outro which is similar. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked it, please send us a review, or like or subscribe, share it with a friend, whatever you like to say, with some music underneath. And you just pull that little file underneath your main segment that you want. Hello.
Yeah, different scene. So
if you're seeing live, you would have seen big face of me. Marcus is trying to sort out my camera views here, which I appreciate. So, and then you can just export that in Descript. On the top right, there's a blue button, black. It says export the file. So basically you're downloading that audio onto your computer. And then if you don't want to pay any money to have what we call a hosting platform, which is the place that automatically, once you set it up, and it can be easy to set up, by the way, it can take about half an hour, and it automatically takes it to Apple and Spotify and Google and Amazon Music, wherever else you want to go. It does it automatically, and all you have to do is put that file into that hosting platform, which is a website basically, and you can pay for it, or you can do a free one, which is called Spotify for Podcasters, which has improved a lot since it used to be called Anchor. And you don't have to pay anything, or you can pay for a hosting platform, and they're about, in the UK, about £19, £20, that sort of price for quite a good package to start off your podcasting. So you can do a podcast. Mine takes about 1.5 hours for me to take my half an hour show. I'm in the habit of editing out a lot of filler words. I don't really need to do that, and maybe I'll get out of the habit, but at the moment I do edit it quite a lot, and I master the sound a bit, improve the sound quality. But I use a program called Alitu, which actually does quite a lot of that automatically without me doing anything, which is really, really handy. But all you really need to do is go into a program like Descript, which in the UK is about £15, so about $19 a month. And it's brilliant. Just download it, and then you've also got your transcript, which you can do loads of stuff with, or you can use another wonderful AI tool like video.ai, and it makes your video shorts for you automatically, and your captions, and you could do a blog like that if you want, and all sorts of things. But anyway,
Right. Yeah.
you can do a podcast. It takes me about 1.5 hours to get my title and description and edit and get it into Descript, and then Alitu, and then my hosting platform, and it's out there, and I've done it. And some people do it in half an hour if they're just topping and tailing it. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
I just need to be less critical and
Yeah.
and make my process faster. Because I got one episode out, so I already figured out all that thing. Hi, Fish
Yeah.
Stick USA, and he's asking about the hosting. So I already had a Squarespace site, so I put it there. And Katy was telling us about ali2.com or ali2.
Yeah, that's right. So I think Squarespace is a website, isn't it? If I'm right, Marcus,
it's just
not
included there.
actually.
Yeah, and I watched a video about is it how to do it and is it the right place, and the guy there in the video said if you already have the site, it's a great place, but it's if you just want to put out a podcast maybe and you don't already have a Squarespace site, I wouldn't do that. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so something like Alitu, I'm always talking about it, and people have very rarely heard of it. It's an all-in-one podcasting platform for what they sort of affectionately term indie podcasters. So, that means solo entrepreneurs or people who just love connecting with people with a podcast, but they're just doing it for fun. They're doing it for hobby.
Yeah.
They're not really into audio editing to a high level. They just want to have a chat to a guest and maybe take out some little bits and pieces, simple editing, and be able to upload it all using the same platform. That's what Alitu does. It's an all-in-one platform, and it even has the background music that you can want. And I like in podcasts when people have got little segments, so you hear something like do. Hey guys, I'm just popping in here to say blah blah blah, or something like that. I think it's really fun, and they have those tiny little, we could call them stings.
Yeah.
All different styles, depending on what sort of vibe what type of podcast you've got. So it's a really fun platform. But there's loads of platforms out there. Captivate FM
Absolutely.
is fantastic as well.
And Janet brings up a very good point. What about podcasting on YouTube? And
Woo, yeah. What about
my
podcasting
one
on YouTube?
episode lives there as well. I don't know.
Excellent.
Do you put up video podcasts? Or?
Yeah, so I've been a bit naughty and a bit lax because YouTube, it's been about a month since they came out with you can actually sort of tag your video as a podcast and you can have your podcast. And I think in America, you can actually search the podcast, and that is beginning to be a thing. And they are going to have like a podcast app.
In the US, they put it on YouTube Music. And the big thing there is on YouTube Music, of course, you can just put it in your ears and don't have to keep the app open. That will be fantastic. And that will spread wider. But of course, because it's YouTube, it's also video podcast then. And so I took my one episode I made and loaded it up as podcast on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I think something like what you do, Marcus, really works well as a podcast. So I'd really encourage you just to keep doing it. And if you feel that your process of trying to make it 20 minutes, I don't think you need to do that. I would just necessarily, if you feel that's going to be great for your audience, then fine. But I would get them out there because you're having lovely conversations with all sorts of different people. So like, for example, Tim Heel was listening. He's still here with us, I think. He has a great live podcast. So you can't actually at the moment go live into a podcast. So you cannot do it at the moment simultaneously. So what I mean is you've got your Apple Podcasts app on your phone and you can actually listen to somebody live. Sure, I reckon that will be coming, but you can, what I mean is you can go live using StreamYard or Ecamm or Restream or Wave or whoever. And then quite quickly you can partially automate the process to making the podcast onto audio at the minute. But on YouTube, it is there straight away. So I suppose they are, I have never thought about that before, but they are actually further ahead in that sphere as well. So,
And Fishstick wants to know if the podcast will be audio or plus video. Mine is with video. Katy, you do it live with video, and then the podcast version is just audio, or?
I do a bit of both. Okay. I think it's nice to, well, we're all different, and I just think it's a bit nice to do a bit of both. I'm sort of playing, because I teach podcasting as well. I can play with ideas. So a number of people enjoy video podcast shorts, or shorty episodes, you can call them. So it's it just goes out as a podcast episode. It's not like a bonus episode necessarily, but you can call it that. Or you can just put in brackets shorty episode, and you can do a short episode that's like 5 minutes long, and it could just give a little tip or something. And for ladies who are a bit like me, who are like, sometimes I look awful and I really don't want to be on video, but I'd love to connect with my podcast listeners and just talk to them in a closer sort of way, chatting one-to-one with them. I haven't got my guest on, it's not my live show, it's just a personal, and you really do get this quite intimate connection with, it's just you and your microphone talking to your besties, as it were, your audience on podcasts. And I actually love doing that when I can. So I do some shorty episodes. It's just me, maybe Saturday morning, my hair's all over the place. And I'm actually going to make some merch saying, what is it? Hair in the air, I don't care, or something like that. I can't remember what it is. Podcast is great for that. So yeah, I like doing a bit of both. I think there's room for different ways.
But what you could do, since it's recorded, you could put the or the ones you think you don't look good enough, you can still make that on video. And then check, was it really that bad, or is it okay? I mean, my hair is, I just don't care.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. You're actually making me think of a really good idea. So I love, because I get exhausted, absolutely exhausted very, very quickly, and I get very overwhelmed with stuff, and I need to make a workflow that's quick and easy for me, and we all want to create social media content, don't we? So I have started getting into a routine of putting my camera somewhere like this, so it's out of shot of my live video. And I could easily do, like Marcus was saying, do those shorty episodes, speaking to my viewers live on Instagram or whatever, or I could just make some shorts with my phone there. And if I've just, I've just got, if you can just set it up at the same time and just do it. And like Marcus says, a lot of the time, especially if we're creating sort of intimate, one-to-one, relaxed type of content, it really, they want to know you. They want to see sort of warts and all, some of the time at least. So, even if you're not looking your best, that will work really, really well. And they will feel like you are speaking to them one-to-one, even on a video. So that's a good tip as well, where you can get 2 things done, or maybe 3 things done at the same time. Perfect. And you've done it. You only need to create your content for the whole week once. And then for me, when I'm sitting in bed, I can use video.ai to create my video shorts, my captions and everything. And people say to me, "You're everywhere. I can't believe it. You've got so much energy. You're like," and I'm like, "You really have not any idea, have you? I'm in bed like 80% of the time." So yeah, it's interesting.
But you're making the best of the time you find the energy and really are doing.
It takes time to work on your workflow, doesn't it? But I think it's worth trying to get into a rhythm. I like crocheting and knitting and stuff. I like being in a rhythm. It's quite calming, and you're not having to get overwhelmed overthinking things and recreating the wheel every single week. What do I do next? You're just used to it. You're in a flow. So Anna is saying some nice things here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anna.
Anna will wear a hat too. Yeah, but what you was saying about people saying you have a lot of energy, I think I can feel the energy. I mean, of course, there is the exhaustion with the health things you told us, but there's still energy in you, and it wants to come out. So that is very clear.
Thank you. Yeah, I love connecting with people, Marcus, and you're a very, very kind, very, very generous person and you're a real person. And
That's the plan, yeah.
that's wonderful. So I love connecting with people like you and the people in the comments as well. You're lovely people as well. Hair in the air, don't care. That person said.
That's perfect. And then we have sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Marcus, I
Oh.
don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
So,
Sorry, I interrupted you. So Fishstick has another question. He has a friend with a podcast on Apple. Do you have a reason to use or not use Apple? So use everything, because the podcast is hosted somewhere, like Katy was explaining, and then you just tell it to Apple, you tell it to Google, you tell it to every platform, and they're not hosting it, they're just distributing it. So did I say that right?
Yeah, absolutely right, Marcus. So yeah, you can just set up Apple and Spotify and all the places just once by sort of logging into them. And but there are a lot of people. I'm actually a podcast manager as well, and a lot of people, podcast managers, have a real love-hate or hate relationship with Apple Podcasts for different reasons. But it is a massive place to be on podcast. I mean, personally, for me, even though I'm really into podcasting and a manager and everything like that, I only look at my Apple Podcast app. I don't go into another app and download it, which a lot of people do, which is great, but loads of people use the Apple Podcasts app. It's not perfect by any means. There are lots of glitches to try and get your podcast on Apple sometimes. That is very frequent, and you would be surprised about that being Apple. You wouldn't have thought there would be, but there are. But I would strongly recommend, if you've got a podcast, that you go onto Apple. You really are missing a whole chunk of your audience, possibly half of your audience, possibly slightly more than half of your audience.
Just put it everywhere. It's like if you would sell a newspaper, you want it every outlet to sell it, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And Lala is asking, is there a best length for a podcast? What would you say?
That's a great question as well, Lala. And it's a very, very common question. It really, when people are thinking about that question as well, they always think of the Joe Rogan show. I've only ever seen a tiny little clip for Joe Rogan show, but it's an incredibly popular show. And it's very well known to run for like 2 hours long each episode. And so when people are thinking about that question, they always cite the Joe Rogan show, which I've just done. For his audience, they like a really long show, but that's very unusual. It depends on your audience and who they are, what their lifestyle is, and when they will want to listen to your show. Are they really very busy, high-flying business people who haven't got much time, but they love listening to something when they're running on the treadmill in the gym? And so think about how long they would want it to be for that. Are they people who commute, or are they people who take their kids to school and on the way back they just want a little encouraging tip in every morning? It really depends on who they are. Are they somebody who loves listening to podcasts when they're washing up, or think about who it is who's going to be the audience, and what their lifestyle is, what they're sort of wanting out of a podcast, and when they will probably be listening. And that will tell you. Most podcasts are around 30 minutes long, 45 minutes long, sort of 20 to 45 minutes long, around that. And what is quite an important thing is that you don't just randomly have loads of different times for your show, really wildly different. Each episode is very different. So your audience would just be confused then and a bit put off by that. So you can have the same type of length of show each week, however long you're doing it, and then have some shorty episodes, and you say in the title, short, then, and they know that, and then that's fine.
Yeah, but of course it's also about building a habit for the audience, and maybe someone always listens while working out at the gym, and they don't want to work out 40 instead of 20 minutes just because of you.
Yeah, can you imagine? You get some really angry audience when you're like exhausted.
I'm so sore now because of you.
That's really funny. I love that.
Yeah, but I see it's a lot more to talk about podcasts, and just with getting all those questions here. So I think I definitely need to do some more on the topic. But if you don't want to wait until I finally get to that, you can go with Katy, because you also have courses on that. And it's you can find that at beyourbestYou.life.
Yeah. Thank you.
What can people expect there?
Yeah, so that's my website with my podcast. You can see my podcast show and my blogs there, which both are together. And I have a podcast course, a do-it-yourself course. I've got a done with you, launch your podcast, or done for you, launch your podcast. And I coach people on live video podcasting, vodcasting, however you like to say it. So yeah, go and take a look at that.
Great. and can someone also book consults with you for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do coaching one-to-one.
Great.
So yeah.
Great. And Amy is just about ready to launch her podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
And John is here as well, and John has just, well, he's on the cusp of launching his as well, and it's going to be so life-changing for people, I know.
Yeah,
so he's just getting his
absolutely.
head around all of that too. I'm helping him with that. So yeah, I love that. A lot of my background is to do with voice, and I during the leader, I had a sort of revelation, as it were, of me helping people to speak their voice, and I absolutely love doing that. I think everybody has incredible things to give and to share and to help others, and I love lifting people up and encouraging them to be able to share, be able to use their voice, and have that confidence. So well done to John, and well done to, was it Amy is starting hers? Yeah. Wonderful. And well done to you, Marcus, because you're going to carry on yours.
Sure. And John always says, Katy, I love your support. You're amazing. And we already learned so much in this hour. And if you need more help from Katy, or just want to watch or listen to her podcast, to her online show, the links are all down in the description. So go find her. And so we already flew through the hour.
It's been a fantastic chat, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcus.
Great. Thank you, Katy. And I think we will have more questions for you
That's fine. I'd love helping.
Try
So
coming
yeah,
back at another time.
yeah,
Absolutely.
will do.
But yeah, that's all for this week. I will be back next week and go find Katy. And thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank